If you're having trouble sleeping due to a racing mind, I'm going to give you 5 effective methods to reduce your racing mind and get to sleep. I'm Dr. Kevin Orzik. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and for the past 2 decades, I've been helping clients not only get to sleep, but reduce their wild thinking minds. Again and again in my practice, I hear clients that have come in and used the common sleep hygiene techniques, such as keeping the room dark or reducing caffeine intake or lessening screen time at nighttime. And I found again and again with the phenomenon of overthinking at night in bed that these techniques fall short. I found other techniques backed by psychological science, which I'm going to offer you today, which will really contain and help you reduce this very common problem with sleep. It's like when our minds hit the pillow, our mind is saying, it's time to figure out all my life's problems, and we end up perseverating for hours sometimes on the same issues from different vantage points. Just like a gland that secretes enzymes, we can consider our minds like a gland that secretes thoughts. That's its job. It makes sense because what the mind is trying to do is to protect us, keep us safe and satisfied, and thinking is such an important part of that. Planning, figuring, remembering, fantasizing, and so forth. However, we are split, of course, at night because there's another part of us that certainly wants to get good sleep, yet the mind doesn't seem to know that. So, what do we do about this phenomenon? Let me tell you about the 5 techniques, and the first of which is more of an attitude which will frame the other 4. And that first technique is don't fight thinking. And that might sound counterintuitive because we don't want the thinking to be there. However, the thinking itself, if we resist it, tends to make it stronger. And think about it. Most phenomenon in the natural world, as well as the psychological world, play this out. What we resist tends to get stronger. A simple example of that, and a very common one we've all experienced, is when you're in an argument. Notice that when one person is defensive and argumentative, it tends to fuel the other person's resistance, and they get defensive and argumentative, and so on and so on. Something fun to try in an argument is when you notice this happening, just stop arguing. And what tends to happen is the other person ends up fizzling out. That doesn't always happen, so be careful there. But this is generally the case. What we resist tends to get stronger. If we allow it to be there and let the mind stream, for instance, it tends to settle. So using that framework, the first technique I'd like to offer you in this realm is to have your body in the foreground of your awareness instead of the thinking. So basically what I'm asking you to do is shift the thinking to the background and bring your body sensations to the foreground. This is very useful and easy to do in bed. Basically, you just feel the contact of your body on the bed, feeling the mattress beneath you, the touch of clothes on your skin, and so forth. So when you're doing that, the thinking mind tends to get weaker or reduced because you're putting in the foreground of your awareness the body sensations. To further this method, I'd encourage you to relax any places of tightening in the body, the eyes, the head, the jaw, the shoulders. These are common muscles that get tight when our mind is ruminative. You can practice this right now as you're listening to me, because as I've been talking in this video, I'm imagining for the most part, you've been either listening to me and thinking about what I'm saying, or thinking about related thoughts, or falling asleep. But regardless, you've been keeping thought generally in the foreground of your awareness. What you can do right now to play with this is just notice that you can take your attention away from my words and your thinking and put them on your body sitting or lying, whatever you're doing right now. Just notice that that's a choice you can make. You can shift your attention to the body. We all do this spontaneously all day long, but I'm encouraging you to practice this as a skill to do consciously. Choose where to put your attention and choose to take it away from the mind. If you'll notice, the body, of course, is in the present moment. It's in the now. It's a very Eastern view of things, and also very effective. The mind is almost always either in the future or the past, thinking, planning, perseverating, remembering. So bringing your attention to the present moment, to the body, generally we notice our body is fatigued at that point of the day, and it starts to relax the whole system. So that was the second of the techniques after first we had the framework, don't fight thoughts. Second, we have attention to the body. Third is a similar body technique, pay attention to your breathing, and in particular, breathe slowly and deeply. Why is this effective? What you're doing when you're breathing slowly and deeply is you're sending a message to the brain to relax or turn down the activated fight or flight energy that's left in the mind, and thinking tends to relax. Breathing mimics the psyche or the mind. If our breath is shallow and tight, we tend to be more agitated and the thinking is more active. If we breathe slowly and deeply, not only the thinking but the whole body tends to relax. Basically, you're turning down the autonomic or sympathetic or fight or flight system of the psyche and turning on the relaxation response. The fourth technique is a technique to work with the thinking mind itself. We've all probably learned this from childhood, but basically it's something like counting sheep, or what I'll call it is taking a bland and neutral thought to replace those activated thoughts in the mind. So think of all the thoughts that you could think of that might be buzzing around in there. They can be quickly superseded if you just choose to put a bland, neutral thought in the mind. That's why counting sheep, as silly as it sounds, it's a very effective technique to help you get to sleep. Basically, you're taking up space for the ruminative thought and just counting the sheep. I generally like to count the breathing. It's as simple and dull as possible, counting 1, 2, 3 on an in-breath, 1, 2, 3, 4 on an out-breath, and so forth. Okay, so the last technique to offer you is to have a mantra. I want to view that a mantra that actually helps contain the thinking mind. What I use is, I can trust myself to figure this out tomorrow. I can trust myself to figure this out tomorrow. What you're doing here is you're actually having a thought to respect but counter the thinking mind wherever it's going. And you're also helping respect the thinking. You're not fighting it. You're saying, I do respect what you're doing with that mantra. At the same time, now is not the time. A simpler mantra to try is not now. You might come up with your own, of course, but the idea here is you're actually countering that thinking without fighting it and offering a superseding idea which actually helps you shut the thinking down, or at least pause it. I shouldn't say shut it down. Contain it, respect it, and then come back to the experience you're having right now, the sleeping body, the breathing, and so forth. I hope these were helpful for you. I'd encourage you to try them out, and I guarantee there will be some reduction of your thinking mind in this process. They are all effective in and of themselves, but they do take practice. If you practice them for weeks, months at a time, I guarantee some reduction in the distress in your mind as well as your body, as well as a more effective method for getting to sleep. If this was helpful, please leave a comment below, and I wish you a good sleep. Thank you.